In this section, we're going to talk a little bit about how to figure out how to pay the taxes that you need to pay for your small business. We're going to look at basically three main types of taxes. Income taxes, we're going to look at self-employment taxes, and we're going to look a little bit at sales taxes. The income tax that you pay and how you go about paying it is going to be based on what type of entity you have selected for your business. If you are a sole proprietor or a single member, single owner LLC, you will use a Schedule C. If you are an S Corp, you will use Form 1120S. If you are a multiple member LLC, or if you are a general partnership, you will use Form 1065. I think it's pretty important, even at this early stage of small business and entrepreneurship development, that you think about what business entity you might want to use and take a look at the tax form. I think it will answer a lot of your questions just to go to the IRS's website, search for the proper tax form and take a look at it and see what kind of information the IRS is going to want from you. For the most part, it's probably easier than you think it is. For example, if you're a sole proprietor or a single member LLC, again, you'll use a Schedule C. Now, for most of your life, you've probably been filling out a 1040 tax return, and you know that right after the wages, salaries, and tips section, you've got a bunch of boxes that you normally have just been filling in with zeros all of your life. Income received from alimony, income from legal settlements, income from farm-related business activity, income from other business-related activity. That's line 12. And as you get started with your entrepreneurial career, you're going to have some numbers now that go into this line 12. Again, if you use Schedule C, Schedule C will have you fill out the revenues and the expenses, and then there will be some profit or loss number, and that number will transfer directly over to line 12 of your 1040 tax return. I can't tell you how much you'll have to pay in taxes. I can't give you a percentage because the amount of tax you pay actually relies a lot on all of the other numbers that go into your 1040 tax return. What I can tell you is that if you'll go get the form and you'll take a look at the Schedule C, if that's the form you'll use, I think that'll help clarify things quite a bit. The second type of tax that I want to talk to you about is self-employment tax. And again, for these Schedule C type entities, LLCs, single member LLCs, or sole proprietorships, the number that is in box 31 of your Schedule C, the one that transfers to your 1040 tax return, is subject to self-employment tax. So one other thing that you probably will want to look up on the IRS's website is Schedule SE. I think that number right now is 13.3%. Now the good news is you're not paying 13.3% tax on the revenues, you're just paying 13.3% tax on that profit that transfers over to your 1040 tax return. And it may sound like a lot, but believe me, your business is likely to show more expenses than you would think that it would right now. So that probably means that the profit number is going to be lower than you expect, and that probably means that the taxes that you pay on that profit will also be lower than you expect. So again, a sole proprietor or a single member LLC will use Schedule C. An S Corp would use Schedule 1120S. A multiple member LLC or a partnership would use Form 1065. Take a look at those forms and see what it is that they tell you. I also want to talk a little bit about income tax. In the state of Kansas, if you sell products as opposed to services, then you will be required to collect sales tax for all the products that you sell and remit that sales tax to the state. Again, it probably sounds a little bit more complicated than it is. In Kansas, the form that you will be required to fill out is called the CR-16. I have an MBA from the Flagship Institute learning institute of our state, and I have a hard time filling out the CR-16 on paper. The good news is that it is available online at the kansas.gov site, and it has been my experience that filling out the CR-16 online is quite a bit easier, so I would advise you to strongly consider doing it that way. Also be aware that the state of Kansas continues to add more and more services to the sales taxable services list. You can get that information at the Kansas Department of Revenue website if you have any questions at all about whether or not your service business is required to collect and remit sales taxes. Also, on the subject of sales taxes, it's important to understand that you have to collect sales taxes at the point of delivery of the sale. So for example, if you own a storefront location on Massachusetts Street and somebody walks in and buys something from you, our sales tax rate currently is 8.85%. And so if the item costs $10, you'll at the cash register say that'll be $10.89 please, and that 89 cents is what you will eventually remit to the state. If somebody comes into your storefront location and they say, "Will, I'd like to buy this product. Can you ship it to my home in Tonganoxie?" The point of delivery is viewed as the point of the sale. So you'll have to find out what sales tax is in Tonganoxie, Kansas. In this case, it's 9.05%. And so that $10 item, you'd say that'll be $10.91 please, and you'll have to remit the 91 cents to the state of Kansas. If you ship something to Wichita, you'll have to find out what the sales tax rate is in Wichita. If you ship something to Leavenworth, you'll have to find out what the sales tax rate is for Leavenworth. There's a pretty simple and easy booklet that's available on the Department of Revenue website that lists sales taxes by location. But just know that if you're shipping anything within the state of Kansas, you'll have to find out the sales tax rate of that destination location. What happens if you're shipping products across state lines? What are you responsible for then? The answer is you're not responsible for sales taxes at all as a seller for anything that crosses state lines, unless you have a physical location in the state that you are shipping to. You probably have all bought something from the internet in the last few years, and you didn't have to pay sales tax for it. In fact, the state of Kansas has recently added a section to their K-40 state tax return. It's a question. They say, how much stuff did you buy last year? What was it worth? You know, all of the things that you order online that you didn't pay sales tax for. And if you say, hey, I bought $1,000 worth of stuff, they will be happy to add $88.50 to your state tax bill. It's my experience probably that most people are a little bit forgetful about some of the purchases that they made. I think a lot of sales taxes don't get collected on internet purchases. It's a loophole that might very well be closed sometime during my lifetime, but for now, that's the way it works. And as a small business owner, probably it's helpful to know that anything you ship across state lines, you won't have to worry about collecting and remitting sales taxes for it. So again, just in the same way that I'm not an attorney, I'm not a licensed CPA. I've never passed the CPA exam in Kansas or any other state. I've also never failed one. So if you have any questions about any of the specifics of what I said, please do consult with a CPA. Find an accountant that can help you make sure that you understand the tax picture for your business. But at least for now, that's a little bit about income taxes, self-employment taxes, and sales taxes. And hopefully that helps you get started with your small business.